For me, I travel across the country speaking at agricultural conferences. Really, my passion is working with farm families and helping them think outside of the box and be innovative and creative entrepreneurs. Because at the end of the day, if these farms and ranches are not profitable, they're not sustainable. The families can't stay on the land. And I'm really troubled as I travel this country and put on so many miles, as I would drive through rural small towns and I would see the main street businesses were sitting empty. The school and the church were barely hanging on. There might be one gas station and a grocery store, but these once booming towns are now sitting empty. And I spent a lot of time thinking about, well, how can we turn that tide around? And COVID, although it presented many hardships, also did present those opportunities. I was talking to families that were, selling out of their beef. They were parking their meat trucks in the Walmart parking lot and selling out. I saw young first generation farm families starting from scratch beef tallow skincare businesses. Or one kid I met was a 16-year-old kid in Kansas, and when the school shut down during COVID, he bought a 3D printer and started making face shields that he donated to local hospitals. But it since, emerged into this big booming business, and he was saving money for a car and to go to college. And so in hardships, when everybody's freaking out, I often think that that's where, instead of running away from the fire, that's where we need to run to the fire. And so right now in the beef industry, I mean, really, for all the wrong reasons, all the political things that have hurt us for so many years has led to this point where we're at the lowest cow herd we've seen in a generation. I think we've lost, I read, 400 million acres of farm ground here in recent years to development and solar and wind and housing. So we're seeing the gobbling up of our farm ground. We are seeing fewer and fewer ranches in the beef industry. In fact, I think we've lost 107,000 independent cow calf producers in the last 5 years. So over 20,000 a year that we're losing. So for all the wrong reasons, we're seeing just kind of the carving out of the independent family cattle rancher. But for those that have hung on and have stuck with it and have been in the grind, they're still here. There are opportunities because the supply is not there. The American consumer and the global consumer loves what we do because, quite frankly, nobody can raise grain fed, highly marbled, flavorful beef like the American cattle rancher can do. And so I think the future looks bright. There's a lot of excitement, and I'm personally excited. Tyler and I are leaning into it harder than ever at our own cattle ranch. We started a beef company with some partners called Bid on Beef. It's in its first year. So we just celebrated our first anniversary here in June, but it's an auction platform where we work with different ranches all across the country and they sell their beef like a cattle auction. So consumers can bid and they can bid on the ribeye steak and they get to choose the price. And we just last week celebrated a milestone where we sold to our 50th state, and that was Alaska, was the last holdout. So we've sold to 50 states, and people are just so excited to be able to know the rancher, ask them questions. And it's also been just so rewarding and edifying to see these dollars flow straight back to the family farm and ranch. And so that's what gets me fired up. And my encouragement to people right now, if they're in the cattle business or they're in production ag, we can lean heavily on past traditions, on the work ethic and the grit and the pride of having these multi-generational operations. But I think with the changing of times, we also have to really think outside the box, be willing to have the neighbors laugh at us and make fun of us, and dare to be different or try something new, because it might be that one idea that you have within you that hasn't been thought of before. If you identify a problem and you can provide the solution and you can find a customer that's willing to pay you a premium, it starts getting really exciting and fun in this beef cattle business.